trickle in and then we're going to get started. While we're waiting, does anyone have any questions about the diet, the smoothies, anything you've been trying, anything you've been adding or taking away? It'd be a great time to ask those questions. 'Has anybody noticed any weight loss yet? Ninety percent of your meals are processed foods. We are going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Um, I know the first night, we're just going to recap really quickly. I'll go ahead and get started. The first night we talked about um, owning where you are and actually, being able to say how you've caused the situation that you're in. And tonight we're actually going to come up with some techniques so that when these obstacles, get in your way, that you've got a strategy to get you out of that. Okay. And so that's what we're going to kind of go into, because this particular type of diet is an elimination diet. And so it eliminates different triggers or things that trigger different things in the body. So being able to have smoothies that are predominantly raw does a few things for you. So if you've been on this smoothie diet and in the middle of these smoothies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you've been having raw fruit or vegetables and raw nuts. Basically, what you have done is an elimination diet. And an elimination diet is used for so many different things. And one of the main things it's used for is to find out allergies. So if you've ever gone to an allergist for anything, one of the things they start to do is to eliminate things to find out what your triggers are. In this particular diet, you've eliminated some main triggers. Those triggers are soy, gluten, dairy, wheat, and corn, and meat. These things are used in many, many processed foods. And I see that Cutie Pie posted that in the chat row that hers is 90% processed foods. And the reason that is a problem is I want you guys to know that just because you're not getting a rash doesn't mean you don't have an allergy to something, okay? Processed foods or highly processed foods tend to start a reaction in the body that sets you up for different disease processes like inflammation. You know, we're ladies, and highly processed foods have a tendency to disrupt our hormonal imbalance as well. So when you cut these things out of your diet, a lot of times you can save yourself the trouble of surgeries, unnecessary procedures. You can save yourself the trouble of, like someone said they were having migraine headaches and they stopped when they started on this elimination diet. So there's so many different things that processed foods will cause that we don't really necessarily look at as an allergy, but it does happen. Okay, so one of the things I want you guys to really think about tonight is, we've owned where we are. Now let's look at some obstacles that we're having. Let's go to the chat roll. So PewDiePie, you said that yours is 90% processed foods. What is taking up the time that you would necessarily be using to meal prep? And I'm going to wait on the chat roll because I know it's a little bit delayed, but I want to hear from you ladies about what is the main obstacle that has kept you from being able to lose the weight, being able to get yourself on track and actually stay on track. And so I'm waiting on the chat roll to see what your obstacles have been, because I want to help you guys strategize to get through that. Because if you have a strategy, every time these things come up, then you've already got a plan in place to combat that. Is there anyone else having problems with actually getting the meals together? Because there's a few things we can explore around keeping you on track, so that having a meal with you is never a problem. Having something nutrient dense to reach for is never an obstacle. And I'm just waiting on the chat roll. It's a little bit delayed. And I want you ladies to not be afraid to interact on these live broadcasts, because it's how you get your questions answered. It's how you get beyond where you are, so that you'll never have to worry about getting ready for something. Never have to worry about losing weight so that you got to be ready for a wedding, or you got to be ready for the summer, or you got to be, ready for different things. This is really about you creating a lifelong way of staying on track. So any real obstacles, anyone? So then I'm going to assume that everybody's been staying on track then. Any questions about what can or cannot be added to the smoothies? I know earlier in the Facebook group, some people posted that they took the bananas out of their smoothie because they felt like the sugar content made them hungry or hungrier a lot earlier. And so if you're getting hungrier a lot earlier, that's the beauty about this particular type of detox. You can add or take away certain things that are within the realm of a raw detox, and you can see which things actually work best for your body. And so if you're learning that you are getting hungrier earlier, then that's you learning your body. And that is definitely something that I'm wanting each of you to be able to do during this particular 5 days. And Chantel says, I've been able to prep and throw everything into the freezer. It's those times when I'm running behind schedule or running errands. Right. So Chantel, that's a very good question. And so what I typically do is, and I stated this last night for some of the individuals who were on this particular live event, was that when you look into my freezer, or if you ever come to my home, you'll see that all of my smoothies and the things that I want to add to them, I add different things for my morning one versus my afternoon one, or versus the one that I have before I go to bed. And what I do is I already have everything pre-separated in Ziploc bags. And so that I can just grab, dump, blend, and take it with me. And if I'm going to take an extra one with me, I go ahead and make a second one, or make them both together in the same blender, divide the portions, and take it with me. Now, as far as your raw fruits, raw nuts, raw seeds, raw vegetables, the things that you're supposed to have between for your snacks, you want to make sure that you always have something with you. Always have a Ziploc. Like right now, I'm on vacation, but I can assure you, I've got at least 2 Ziploc bags of raw nuts and seeds with me, so that I'm never without something nutrient dense to eat. I'm never without something good to give my body. Right. Okay. And Lanita, thank you for joining us tonight. That's a very good question. The meal prep. So it sounds like everyone is kind of having a question around the meal prep. And meal prep is so important. You have to do it the night before if you have to. I also learned that some women were having issues with the water and being able to get the water in. If you're having issues with the water as well, you have to rise early. And that's a part of your preparation too. Rise early and start drinking. If you don't have to go to work, like for instance, I have to be at work by 7 a.m. I'm typically up by 5:30. Okay. And so the reason I get up that early is so that I can prep things that I haven't prepped the night before, and so that I can start hydrating early, so that I'm not in a pinch when I first see my first patient and having to void. So meal prep is the same thing. You either have to do it the night before, and it actually works better for me to put the snacks together the night before and go ahead and pack them in your bag and put them in the refrigerator. And as far as your smoothies, I like mine made fresh. There are people that live with me, my mom, my spouse, who actually make theirs, freeze them the day before, and then they take them out and have them that way. So either way is absolutely fine. Now I will say a word about juicing, because I'm learning that some women are starting to juice on this particular detox as well. When you juice, depending on the type of juice, and I'm not going to get real deep into this, but depending on the type of juicer apparatus you have, the juice that you make has to be drank within a few minutes of you actually juicing it in order to get as much out of it as possible. Okay. If you have a slow churn juicer, then yes, you can typically keep that particular juice you've made up to a day and drink that, and sometimes even longer. But if you got the high speed juicers, then you definitely want to drink that immediately. It's not made to be kept for hours and drink later. It's best if you drink it as soon as you make it. Okay. So has anyone else lost any weight? Has anyone lost any weight on this particular detox yet? I know that some people have manifested a little bit of weight loss. I know Stephanie Sinclair, she's not on the line just yet, but I know she manifested in the first week 12 pounds off. So I want to know if anyone else has had a weight loss or a weight shift. Okay, so we're going to move on into our next subject for tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about addictions, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, habits that are difficult to break. Because let's face it, when you're going on a detox like this, you're going to have cravings. If you have an addiction, you're going to have cravings. And typically people have sugar cravings, and sugar cravings come on so strong and so bold during these detoxes. But one of the things that I've learned, excellent, Gina, I'm glad that you lost some inches. That's great. Um, and so I want you guys to know that sugar, when you have sugar, and most of you maybe have already heard of this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Sugar, when you have it, creates the same reaction in the body or lights up the brain the same way and addictive drug would. So, for instance, heroin, cocaine, crack, sugar, caffeine light up the brain in the same manner. So, when people tell you, or when someone says, I'm addicted to coffee, or I am addicted to sugar, sweets, drinks, sodas, they truly mean that they have an addiction to it. And it's not something that is easily broken. Okay? There are several techniques you can use to crowd the sugar or crowd out the caffeine so that you no longer need to have the need for it. And that is something that I go into deeper when people work with me one-on-one. But the quickest way for you guys to beat the addiction is to gain knowledge about it. And so I want you to know that processed foods, they are processed in such a fashion that they are designed to get you addicted. And it's unfortunate, but it is definitely a marketing scheme. It's designed to get you addicted. Certain chemicals that are placed in processed foods actually stay on your tongue, and your body remembers the taste of it. And so when people say, I can literally taste it in my mouth, they really do mean that. They really do mean that. They can taste it on their tongue because these chemicals that are in this food or that are in these food substances are designed to stay on your tongue to make you desire it even more. And so it's very important that when you detox, you are cleaning not only the inside of your body, but you're also cleaning the inside of your mouth. It's very important. So if you've never looked into something called oil pulling, look into oil pulling, because that is something that helps to detox the mouth as well. And it also helps remineralize your teeth, give you healthy gums and things like that. One thing that is very, very important, especially for detox and to try to get rid of addiction, is a tongue scrubber. A tongue scrubber is very, very important. If you have one in your possession, use it, because your tongue scrubber will allow you to truly clean out these chemicals off of your tongue on a regular basis so that these chemicals are no longer stuck with you. And as you do that, your palate, your desire for certain food substances will change. And that is a quick way for people to beat addictions. There's so many different ways to do it, but that's definitely the quickest way to do it, is to make sure that prior to brushing your teeth, you scrub your tongue, and you scrub it very, very well so that you're not having the same sweet tooth. So it's important. If you don't have one, try to find a place where you can grab one. And so Cutie Pie is asking, can a veggie consist of cucumbers and tomatoes with vinegar? So one of the reasons why I wouldn't use a vinegar is because it is something that is processed. And if it's something that you're not pickling yourself or using yourself, now you can use apple cider vinegar, and I don't mean the Heinz version. If you're going to use an ACV, apple cider vinegar, you need to use the form of ACV that actually has the mother in it. On the container, it says apple cider vinegar with the mother, and it's typically the most common brand is Bragg's, Braggs, and that particular one, you can add a little bit of that vinegar to your tomatoes or your cucumbers, but nothing else. Don't add black pepper, don't add salt, don't add anything like that. And ACV, I will say this, ACV actually boosts your metabolism, and it actually aids in weight loss. It keeps you, it's like a fat burner, so it keeps you burning fat all day. I did not add that to your smoothie recipes. I use it in mine daily. I will say that. I use it in mine daily for a fat burner. I didn't put it on yours or the recipes that I sent out because most people have a problem with the taste of it. So if you don't like really, really bitter, then it may not be a good idea to add it. Does it work? Absolutely. It boosts metabolism, and it actually is your fat burner. It is a controlled fat burner, and it works all day long, along with coconut oil. Organic coconut oil is another one that's a fat burner that will work for you all day long. And I typically will add these. Be careful with the coconut oil, though. When I first started using the coconut oil, I don't think my system was ready for it internally. To be added to my smoothies. As soon as I added it, I could feel my heart start to race and I started to sweat. So coconut oil is a very, very potent fat burner when you're adding organic cold pressed straight to your smoothies. So I would add coconut oil to, or take a shot of coconut oil even when it's melted in the mornings before my workout. And before I would even start working out, I started sweating profusely. So my metabolism, I have to say, is probably already high, and I didn't need the coconut oil. But if you're wanting to work out less, get a good sweat in, coconut oil is the way to go. And if you can add it to your smoothies, that would be a great thing to do too. Can you add cayenne pepper? Absolutely. If you can stand the taste of the cayenne pepper, these spices help to boost your metabolism. They make your skin beautiful and they just work for overall health. If you look at some of the best Mediterranean diets, like Indian diets, they're high in cumin, high in turmeric, high in cayenne, high in cinnamon. And these women have gorgeous skin and they pass that down because they have diets that are packed with these things. And so, yes, if you're willing to add cayenne to yours, absolutely. I typically will add cinnamon and I will add turmeric. I will add fresh turmeric that comes in the same way that fresh ginger. It looks the same, except when you cut it open, the inside of the turmeric is a bright orange color. If you haven't seen it before, you can get the regular powdered turmeric from a farmer's market. That is what I suggest for that. Okay. How much ACV should you add? Start with the cap full, Chantel. Pour it into the cap that comes with it and dump that in there. Start with the cap full. Yes, and ginger root is amazing. Ginger root, I'm glad you mentioned that, Stacy. Ginger root, if you're going to add a little bit of ginger root, ginger can be very, very potent. So if you want to try, just try with maybe 1/4 inch of ginger that you cut off the root and drop that into your smoothie. After you've blended the kale or the green and the water and made it smooth, drop the ginger in there with your fruit and blend it up that way. And then see how the ginger works for you because ginger is great for opening up your sinuses. So please use that cautiously. And some people don't assimilate raw ginger, raw garlic things well. So try just a little bit first. And if you find that you like it, add a little bit more and it works very, very well. Because all of this is about finding what works best for your body. And that is how you will create the diet that works for you. The one thing that really frustrated me on my journey was that people were coming to me with things that said, oh, this worked for me and this is what happened. Oh, and that worked for me and this is what happened. I learned how to help people find exactly what works for them. And I am going to teach you that whoever comes on the last day will learn how to successfully transition off of this 5-day diet onto something that will keep you burning fat well into the summer with the foods you already love and with the foods your body loves as well. And so that's very important. Okay. Any questions about anything? And I'm going to go to the chat roll and see what questions you ladies have. So any questions about what can be added to the diet, what can be taken away from the smoothies, what can be given, okay? Now that you have some things, you can start to experiment with the apple cider vinegar, with the coconut oil, with the raw ginger, with the raw turmeric. Be careful though, because turmeric, when you start getting into the spices, like cayenne, like cinnamon, like turmeric, like ginger, they can be very, very overpowering in your smoothies. So if it's something that you want to try, experiment with a small portion of it first and see how you like it. And I'm very excited about each of you and your journeys. I just want to say that it truly makes my heart happy to be able to do this for women, because I know how it feels to, you know, try one thing after the next, and fail time after time again, you know, lose a little bit of weight and then plateau. I know exactly how that feels. And I'm going to speak to plateauing as well, because when you plateau, it's time for it's your body's way of telling you that what you're doing has worked well up until now. So at that point, it's asking you to do something different, And a jump start like this, eliminating things, is that difference that your body needs to push the envelope and say, okay, now let's start the weight release up again. And then after that, it's very important that you don't go right back into eating processed foods, because you start to quickly introduce things that have high nitrogen content, things that have high acid content. When you reintroduce those things, you start to reintroduce any kind of reaction that causes the body to become inflamed, that causes the body to become ill. So you want to be sure about how to transition off of this diet, and I'm going to do just that on the last day. That'll be the treat for anyone who shows up then. So any questions about what it is we're looking for with this 5-day diet? Any questions? Has anyone hit a plateau on their weight loss journey and they want to talk about it? Stacy, I see that you said that you lost 50 pounds. That is amazing, Stacy. That is amazing. Have you hit a plateau, Stacy? Is your weight still coming down? Okay, and so we're going to move forward. Okay, so slowly it's starting to come down, Stacey. I just now see your comment, and this chat is a little bit delayed, so excuse it seems like dead air time, but it's a little bit delayed on my end, and I try to wait as long as possible so that I can get to your questions before moving on to the next phase of the live broadcast. But yes, Stacey, that's very, very typical when you've been on the same type of diet. If you've already been doing smoothies, Stacey, try to introduce some of the newer things that we've talked about tonight to see if your body will trigger a weight release and see if you can come off of that plateau. Okay, and the same thing applies for anyone else here. Okay. And so now, the last thing that we're going to talk about tonight is what's holding you back. So I want you all to understand that it's not enough to want to look good. Everyone wants to be beautiful. Everyone wants to be gorgeous. Everyone wants to look in the mirror and absolutely adore themselves all the time, to never look at themselves and be critical about their stomach, be critical about their thighs, be critical about their cheeks, be critical about any part of their body that they feel like they don't really like very much. And so it's not enough to want to look good. Okay. And I'm just gonna, be real, because I feel like I can be just that with each of you ladies. And it's just not enough. You have to have a clear picture of what you want to look like and what your goals are. So you can't just, do something like this and treat it as another fad. The mindset behind how you treat your body has to change. How you treat food substances, why you eat certain things. The mindset behind it has to transform into one that says, I give my body these things because these things give this to my body. So for instance, I give my body, coconut oil because it gives me an increased metabolism and fat burning ability. So, and disease fighting ability. There's just an extensive list of great things that, cold pressed extra virgin coconut oil will do for your body. But it's not enough to say, I just want to look good. I just want to look good. Because that particular mindset will keep you on this yo-yo fad diet roller coaster. And I don't know about you, but I am 34 years old, and I've already gotten sick of the yo-yo diets. And this is one of the reasons why I became a health coach, because there are women out there, and I talk to many of you here personally, and the struggles that you have around your diet, around your weight loss, around your goals, around your journey are real. And so you don't want to be delivered something that's not going to work, something that's not going to carry you into the next wellness phase of your life. And so the homework assignment is for you to get a very, very clear picture of what you want to gain, what it is you want to take control of, and that's just being real. I'm at a place in my life personally where I don't want to have to look at somebody who's 50, 60, 70 and say, oh my gosh, she looks younger than me. She looks younger than me. I don't ever want to have to look at my old photos and say, man, I used to look like. I don't do used to. I look like that now. My waist is small now. My hips are the way they are now. My legs are the way they are now. And I'm in love with who I am because I changed my mindset. I learned that it was not enough to just one flat belly. It was not enough to just want to look good in a bikini on 4th of July. That's not enough. I had to change the way I thought about food, and I had to change my relationship with food. And honestly, you can take this and you can actually use it for every area of your life. If it does not serve you well, then it deserves to be cut out. It doesn't deserve your time, and it certainly doesn't deserve a place in your body system. It doesn't deserve a place with you. And that's very important. We have to really get real with ourselves and say, okay, this is how I've stopped this. This is how I've created this. And now this is what I'm going to do to get beyond this. So the homework assignment is for you to write down or go in the Facebook group and start a new thread and say, this is what I want. This is what I want now, and this is what I want for the rest of my life. Because that is so important. The day that you start that is the day you set in motion for that to come to you. And so it is so, so critical that you write these things down. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you follow moon cycles, but I am very big on law of attraction. And I follow moon cycles and I follow moon phases. Tonight is a full moon. Tonight is a full moon. And it's a great way for you to start over, start a new phase. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that I started this challenge around this time of the moon phase, because this is the time for letting go and walking into something new. That is what this is about. Now, are there any questions about the homework assignment? Absolutely, Gina. You started a food journal. Now, that's one of the things I'm going to introduce to you all on Friday. But Gina, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to go more into it on Friday, or Saturday, for the people who show up on the last day. A food journal is so critical. It is so critical. We eat so many things that do not serve us, and we shovel it in our mouths. Let's just be real. When you've only got 15 minutes to eat, or when you've only got 30 minutes to eat, you can barely chew your food sometimes, depending on what you brought. Especially if you brought a big salad. Salad takes time to chew. I know. Salad takes time to chew. And I'm going to give you guys a specific way to journal, so that you start to change your mindset while you're writing things down as well. And I'm going to go into all of that on Saturday. So it's very important that when you get the opportunity to eat, that you sit down and you actually chew your food, and that you actually change even the company around you. Don't ever allow drama around you and your food. People carry energy with them. And when you're putting something into your body that is going to change the course of your health, then it's very, very important that you watch what is around you when you eat. It's so crucial. It really does change everything. And it's not a matter of belief. It's not a matter of, whether or not it's happened for you. It is just what happens. When you change the company around you, you've seen this, I'm sure, in your life, things change for you. And it's no different when you're sitting down eating your food. Think about a Christmas meal or a Thanksgiving meal, or even just a family get together that you've had, where the energy was so vibrant. It was so high. Everyone had such a great time. The food was amazing. And then think of a time when the dishes were rushed. They were made in a rushing fashion. People were irritable. People were upset. You can't honestly say you enjoyed it as much. So it's very important, even for your lunch breaks and things that you're doing, that you make sure that you have a positive vibe around you when you eat. If you have to listen to music, take an iPod, take your phone, take something with you so that you can, and eat outside. Eat outside. It's a beautiful time of year, depending on where you're located. Try to eat outside for your breaks, because it really does change your mood for you to be able to assimilate the food, have it give back to you what it is you're looking for. That's very, very, very crucial. Any other questions about the homework assignment? So we're going to start a Facebook thread. Okay, start a new thread. And you're going to say, you know, what things you're looking for. We're going to be very, very, very clear about 3 things. Do 3 things that you're looking for. If you're saying, I want my energy to always be high. I want to always be able to chase my children around the house. Or I want to always be able to work out or attend a class and not worry about getting tired. Whatever your goal is. Or I want my thighs to be smaller. I want my waist to be smaller. Jot those things down. And then don't forget your running list of 5 things that you absolutely adore about yourself that you wouldn't change for anything in the world. You're supposed to be keeping that list. So write 5 of those things tonight. And you can jot those down and you post in the Facebook group as well. Any questions about anything? Any questions? Okay, I am going to end the broadcast now. You ladies have your homework assignment. You got some new things that you can add to your smoothie. Give a try. See if you like it. See how you feel. Write it down. I'll be looking to interact with you guys in the Facebook group again, and I will still be in the chat world for just a few more minutes to answer questions. Have a great night, ladies. Goodbye.